So that's sort of like, the summary of what happened. But, everyone's journey is a little different. But as IMGs, we all share certain things in common, which is, you have to go through the same process of taking your USMLEs, of, taking going through the match process, and eventually doing the residency before you can practice here in the United States.
So we want to know the details of the story, because
Mm-hmm.
you just don't come from Nigeria, end up
Right.
in America, apply to residency. Oh, by magic, right? You end up in
Yeah.
general surgery residency. So
Yeah.
first tell us exactly, did you take your USMLE while you're in Nigeria, or did you take it when you got here?
Yeah. So for me, it all started with, sort of a dream, a mindset, a thought that, okay, this is what I wanted to do. From the very first year I got into med school in Nigeria, I always knew that I wanted to come to America to further, after graduating. And so that always been at the back of my mind, regardless of what I was doing. And so having had that thought process or that dream from the beginning, it kind of helped me to sort of plan as I move forward. And part of that planning helped me to secure an elective as a medical student here in the United States. I didn't even at the time know how important that was going to be. It was just, okay, I'm trying to come to the United States when I'm done. I'm eager to do this. I found people of like mind with me who also had the same plan. And we all kind of did the same thing, which was we try to come here to do electives. So that came in handy and helpful down the road. And then as I came here with an elective, I spoke to a lot of people. I met some other IMGs, and they're all saying the same thing, that you got to really do well on your step one. You got to do all your step. That's what everyone was talking about. And so I said, well, in that case, I'm going to have to focus on this. So when I went back, I think the elective was probably my fourth year, because in Nigeria, it's 6 years of med school. It was my fourth year. So as I went back, I said, I'll have to start planning for this. So I started gathering materials, looking at, websites, talking to people. So how could I do well on this? I got a lot of information. And so I kind of just distilled all that and said, okay, this is going to be my plan. I'm going to take the first step, before I'm done with my final year of med school. It didn't exactly go that way, but at least the fact that I was working towards it helped me to be able to take it shortly after graduation. So I think preparation is key. Having a very strong mindset and a plan is also very important. So for me, all those things helped. And so when I finished, my final paper and final year of med school, while we were waiting for results and graduation and all that, I was preparing for the boards. And as soon as I was able to take it, I went and took it. At that time, I think it might still be the same thing. You could not take it in Nigeria. You had to go to Ghana, which is, somewhere in the region close to Nigeria. And that's the only place, that was the closest place you could take it. So that's where I went into the step one. And then as soon as all the graduation and everything was done, I moved down to the United States and I took the other steps subsequently, and then applied for the match.
So how did you do on step one?
So my step one was pretty good. It was 249. But then there's a three-digit. I don't know if it's all changed now because a lot has changed. It was a three-digit score, a two-digit score. Uh, then there was a bigger focus on the two-digit score. So I remember, it was like 99. That's what everyone was saying, and so I know that's what mine was. For the actual number, I believe it was 249 or 250, if I'm not mixing it up with the step two. And it was, pretty high then, because that's what I was told. But I've been, throughout my training, I've been involved in recruiting residents and, into interviewing medical students. And I know that today, that number would probably have been okay, not like, super, super high, because it's gotten a lot more competitive. But at the time, it was one of the highest scores, and, the two-digit number was 99. So it was pretty good. So that was step one, and step two was the other one. So it's 249 or 250, one or the other. Yeah.
So when you were when you say you were studying while you were trying to finish med school in Nigeria,
Yeah.
did you have
Yeah.
any challenges like
Yeah,
while
I
you're
did.
battling, struggling to study with boards? I mean, studying for, if you guys don't know, I'm sure like a lot of people, if you graduate from other countries, it's all a lot different. Med school is difficult regardless. However, what was your challenge that you had when you were studying for the USMLE whilst you try to get
Yeah.
through 6 years of med school?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge I would say was a lot of the stuff in the step one was the non-clinical stuff. And at that time I was preparing for it, I was working, dealing with clinical stuff with in med school. And so you had to, it was like when you're studying for your med school work, it's in one direction. And then when you're studying for USMLEs, it's like strictly, the pharmacs and the biochemistry and things like that. But in a way, it kind of helped me because when I'm in the clinical space and they're asking some of this, non-clinical questions, some of the guys with me had forgotten, and all that stuff was at my fingertips. But it wasn't necessarily helping me in preparing for the USML itself, because the step one is all about knowing your facts and kind of going over it over and over again, repetition, and just learn a lot of facts that may or may not be useful to you in the future. So that was the biggest challenge. And then, of course, there was a challenge of creating time to make sure that you're doing what you need to do for your med school work, and at the same time, you're adequately preparing for the step one. Because my goal was to take the step one before graduating, but I had to push it back because a couple of things happened finally, and so. But in any case, that was the main challenge. I recall one day I was studying at night, so I would divide my time and study for the med school work, and then spend some time studying for the USMLE. One of my colleagues came and he looked at what I was reading and he said, "Do you have an advisor?" So I said, "Who's your advisor?"
Like, who's helping you through this process? Because I have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like, "Do you have an advisor?" Like, he couldn't fathom why I'll be reading biochemistry and all this stuff. Well, we had like all this work. And the final year exam was, that was the big, you just wanted to be done. So everyone was just kind of focused on that. So I was like, this guy might have a point, but I still have my goal, my focus. My plan is not, the big picture is not here. It's when I get out of here. So, I kind of stayed the course. And then towards the final year exams, I kind of dropped the USMLE for a little bit, focused on that. And then I finished, I picked it up again. So that was the biggest challenge, having to kind of toggle between both of them. But it turned out well on both ways. So
what did you used to study back then? I mean, what year did you take your step one?
Geez, I took the first one, I think it was uh, January 2008, I believe. And this is what now, 12 years ago. And so from all the information I had gotten, at that time I was getting information, it was like everyone had slightly different, well, this is what you should look at, so you should look at. So at some point I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just gonna pick certain materials and I'm gonna stick with them throughout. So there was a book called The First Aid for USMLE. I don't know. Again, this is 12 years ago. So if I'm saying something that is not,
it's still the same.
it's still oh, okay. That's good. That's good. So there was that one, and then there was something called Kaplan Notes. So I had that one, and then there was a question bank. I had USMLE World and something called the NBME, which was like a self-assessment. So my strategy was to read through the first aid initially, just to kind of see what this is all about, and then to go through the Kaplan notes twice. So the first time was just reading through, just trying to figure out what they're talking about, and then the second time was to actually focus on certain areas. And then throughout this period, I was doing questions from the USMLE World. I was doing questions from there. And then at some point later in the preparation, it was less of Kaplan notes, it was more of first aid and USMLE World. That's it. And that kind of helped me to sort of like just focus on what they're really asking and how to just answer the questions. Because what I've discovered over my years here and experience is that, at least here in the US, a lot of the examination has to do with strategy. There's a lot of knowledge with it, which you have to have the knowledge, but it's about strategy, especially when they're multiple choice. It's not like they're asking you to explain how you got to the answer. So once you figure out the strategy, and I've seen that throughout my experience here, throughout all the years of the residency, everything, once you can figure out a strategy, you can always perform and score very high. And because they put so much weight into the scores, at least to this point, even though I understand that may be changing, it's critical to know how to just get to the answer they're asking and just figure it out. So working with the USMLE question bank helped me to do that. And I think it's part of the reason why I was able to do so well.
So did you have a mentor, or was there someone showing you the ropes? I mean, you're in Nigeria, right? So did you have somebody who already took the USMLE saying, hey, listen, This is how you use first aid. I mean, I don't know if you've read, you should probably realize the first aid book is just a bunch of facts, right? So how did you
Right.
transition
Yeah.
as an IMG in Nigeria? How did you figure that part out?
So I already talked about the fact that, I did an elective and I met with people here. Some of them are IMG, some of them were American graduates, but also finding people who had the same kind of dream or like-minded with me. And so we'll meet like every month or something and kind of just compare notes. Some of them took it before me, and some of them took it after me. And so the ones who are taking before me, I'll come with them and say, how did it go? What do you think was helpful? You think we're doing the right things? And I learned a lot from them and from some of the mistakes they made. And so when I was ready to do mine, I feel like, I had a lot of experience without actually taking the exam. I was kind of prepared for what was coming. So that's how we did it. There was no like mentor or something specific like that. There was just like, I found like this, it was a very small community of us. And the good thing is that pretty much all of us eventually matched, and a lot of them are attendings now, doing different things. But the key thing was we had the mindset from the beginning, and we started planning early. And not everyone was as successful in the exam, but ultimately everyone that I recall was in that group. I'll practice it now in different spheres here in the US. So that was the important thing.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
As an IMG,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how competitive general surgery was.
Yeah.
How did you, first of all, why did you say you were going to go into general surgery? Knowing you're an
Yeah.
IMG
Yeah.
and knowing that most IMGs get into internal medicine, family
Mm-hmm.
practice,
Mm-hmm.
like what gave you that convincing evidence that you
Mm-hmm.
think you can get into general surgery coming straight from Nigeria over here?
Okay. So full disclosure, general surgery was for me a means to an end, right? When I was actually thinking of what I wanted to do, I wanted to find something that would sort of like utilize my strengths. And so I've always been more of like a technical person, more of an engineering person. I was actually better at doing like math, further math, that kind of physics, that kind of stuff, chemistry. Biology was fine, but I felt more natural doing other stuff. So my natural tendency was to do something technical. And so when I was in medicine, I had to find something that matched those strengths. And obviously, it drew me to the surgical part. And then within surgery, I had to pick something. So I knew it was either going to be something very mechanical, like orthopedics, or something more technical, having to do with more finesse, like plastic surgery. And eventually, I picked plastic surgery over ortho. But as an IMG, I knew it was going to be a long shot getting into plastic surgery. But I was still going to try, but I had a good backup plan, which turned out to be general surgery. And while the backup plan itself was, it was hard, but I still was going to give it a shot. And so, I did electives, like I said, and I talked to people, and I said I was just going to try anyway, and I was going to do the best I could with the steps and apply as widely as I can to different programs, and that's what I did. And so I ended up matching to general surgery, even with a 10% response to the programs that I applied to. Well, the other thing I have to say is that I always felt like, I'm going to get in one way or the other. So I said, no matter what happens, if it means doing what's it called, a transition, a preliminary year, whatever, I'm going to match into surgery. That was my mindset, to match to surgery, because that was my plan B. And I said, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. So while I was applying, the people I hadn't heard from at some point, I picked up the phone and called all of them. I probably applied to at least 100 programs, very expensive, 100 programs. And maybe I heard back from 10% of them. And the ones I didn't hear back from, I called every single one until I got to somebody on the phone and said, I'm just calling to see. Now, again, I don't know if it's changed now, if you could do that, but that's what I did. And from all those calls I made, I probably got another additional 3 or 4 interviews from that. So, one of them said, hey, we sent you an interview. We didn't hear back from you. I was like, no, I didn't get nothing. So it turned out they sent it to either a wrong person or something. I was like, of course. So I gave them my email. They sent it back. Another couple said, oh, we had a couple of cancellations. are you, and this is the only date we have. Can you make it? I said, I'm already there. Don't worry. Okay.
Like I'm in front of your department.
Right, right. So, and the place I actually matched, one of them was one of those places. So thinking about it, I think, again, you have to go for what you want. Doesn't matter what anyone says, doesn't matter what, at that time, all you care about is that you're going for what you really want. And that's what I did. And what the place I ended up matching, they had sent an interview and they didn't hear from me. And it turned out they sent it to a wrong place or wrong person. And so at the end of the day, that's where I matched. So I could have missed out on that, and who knows what would have happened. So to your question, how did I match in general surgery? I think there was a lot of planning, preparation, scoring well, persistence, and having the mindset that it was going to happen one way or the other. And I've seen other people do similar, even going through a preliminary year and eventually matching. So you have to.
What preliminary year? Because some people may not be familiar with that word.
Yeah. So in general surgery, you can match directly to what they call a categorical track, where you go in and you're on a 5 or 6 year or 7 year track, depending on if your program is a research program or not. And you can match to a preliminary track where you'll be assigned a 1 year contract. And after that 1 year, you either have to find another job, another program, or sometimes, as I've seen happen sometimes, that same program will then give you a categorical contract. Okay. Now that was not the case for me. I matched into the full categorical track, but like I said, I've seen people who went into the preliminary year, and then after the 1 year, the program or another program give them a categorical contract. The only caveat being that you may have to repeat the PGY1 the first year again. Although I have seen it, okay, and this happened to one of my mentees. He did the preliminary year, and by the second year, somebody who was in the categorical year either dropped out, or I think the program expanded or something. And then he went straight from PGY1 prelim to PGY2 categorical. So they didn't skip a beat or miss a year and just kept going. So that's why you just have to get your foot in the door. And that was also always my mindset. I'm gonna get my foot in the door. Once I'm in there, show them what I can do, then it's between them and God, whatever is gonna happen. So that's sort of like the mindset you have to have. And you can't always say, oh, if I don't get it exactly this way, then you lose hope, or you don't want to go further. So yeah, those are the two ways you can get into general surgery, categorically or prelim.
Did you apply do you have a backup specialty that you applied to? Or you just only applied general surgery and nothing?
So general surgery wasn't my backup specialty. I also applied to plastic surgery. Didn't get any
directly. Oh, you applied to plastics
directly? Oh yeah. So I knew. So I was applying to it with sort of like, I was half-assed. Like, okay, I know that I don't have a whole lot of qualification in terms of like, I didn't do any like rotation in plastic surgery. I didn't have any letter of recommendation in plastic surgery, but that's what I wanted to do. So I applied anyway. Then I applied to a ton of general surgery programs as a backup. And then my backup to that backup was to do a preliminary year if I didn't get a categorical. So I was ready either way. And because when I was applying then, I don't know if it's the same now, you can choose whether you want to apply to only the categorical, or you can choose C and P, which is categorical and preliminary. And for all of them, I applied to both, hoping to use the preliminary as a backup. I ended up getting a categorical, so that was great. I didn't get any invites for plastic surgery coming out of from Nigeria. And I understand why now that I've been through the process of also interviewing. Yeah, I totally get why. I've totally, I've interviewed a lot of people. I was a chief resident in general surgery and plastic surgery. So I did a lot of interviews for candidates coming. And, the bar is set extremely high for IMGs, ridiculously high. I mean, for them to even look at your application, you probably have to be scoring like in the 270s or 280s, in your step one. And that's for them to even flip through. And then they have to see a bunch of other stuff, including what you've done, research, letters of recommendation. I didn't have any of that stuff. I was applying solely based on, someone that's coming in from Nigeria. So, I didn't get any interview for that, but I got some response from the general surgery programs and some interviews from there, and that's what I ended up matching. So I was like, okay, well, this is a good plan B. I can follow up with that. So
You know, this is a perfect segue to, because you've had an opportunity to interview residents as a chief
yeah,
resident, right? Can
yeah.
you tell our audiences now that you've been on the other side, right? You've
Hmm.
had an opportunity to see it from you coming in through the door and they're
Yeah.
being inside the system and now interviewing back and looking back.
Hmm.
Can you give us
Hmm.
advice to the audience? If you were to do this all over again and you're coming as an IMG, what will you tell your old self and why you should never beat yourself up about the process of this is the expectation? Like kind of just tell, and what are I know there's two-part questions. Let's start with that.
Yeah. So what I'll tell myself, everyone is a little different, but looking back, I'll tell myself there's some things you did good well, right? And there's some things you could have done better. So things you did well was starting to think about this way ahead. Like you don't wait until you actually finish to start saying, okay, I want to go to America. I mean, you can do that, but really you're going to be behind the eight ball in terms of preparation. So early preparation, very important. And then you have to have a very solid mindset that no matter what happens, I'm going to get to this point I'm trying to go. And then the third thing is that based on those two, then you have to work on it so that your step one scores are really good. Because I can't overemphasize when I was interviewing residents, there's a lot of applications that were not given a second look because the step one scores were just not good enough. And that's unfortunate because I have seen people with low step one scores who are great residents and who are great people and who, I could work with and be happy working with. And I've seen people with so high scores that are the opposite. So unfortunately, you don't have the opportunity to show that extra thing that you have if you're step one score. So I call that one the gatekeeper. And, I know I heard there's a move to possibly change that a little bit, but I feel like for IMGs, that's always going to be a big factor because the people they're looking at your application don't really know you. They just know you on paper. So they're looking for what stands out. And that's the first thing. So again, planning, preparation, mindset, score high in your step one. And the other things I would say is, look for opportunities for electives, for research, or whatever you can do to come into contact with people in the system already, because those are the people not only will give you information, but they also give you connections, contacts, write letters of recommendation. I know a few IMGs who the only interviews they got were from the places they were either doing research or doing electives or something like that, and they ended up matching that because of that interaction. Even if their scores were not that good, the people who they work with say like, this person, I know this person is a good person, and I can trust them to be a resident, in our department. And it's kind of how that preliminary track kind of works. If you do a preliminary year in general surgery and they've seen your work and they know you, it doesn't matter what your scores are. If they like you, they're going to do everything possible to keep you for the following year. So those are the things that are, that I would say are the most important things for an IMG.
Did your program have a cutoff step one score?
I don't recall a number, but I know for certain that um, people who anything below probably 200 wasn't even looked at for IMG. Like the application would not even be really considered. But I don't recall them having like a solid score because what I would see as a person who was interviewing people was just a stack of people who were coming into interview. And just by flipping through, I didn't see anybody whose step one score was, even the American graduates, I didn't see any whose step one score was below 200. So for the IMGs, I'm just going to assume that the benchmark was higher. So in general, you really just have to try to score as much as possible. Certainly try to get way above 200 if you can, to really impress any program. For general surgery, I think it's even more imperative, or any surgical specialty, it's more imperative to score as high as possible because I feel like the bar in general is higher and it's more competitive.
Now, when you were interviewing applicants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went through the whole process. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
For the people you guys end up selecting, obviously, like they've already pre-screened the applicants they're giving you as a chief resident. That's probably why you're not really 100% sure what the cutoff is, because the ones that never made it to your table were the ones that didn't get an interview.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
So,
True.
so you talk about connection, you talk about making a good impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what were the qualities you guys were looking for in an applicant when you guys interviewed?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. So for me, I always felt, because I've done this so many times, I did it for 2 years in general surgery, and in plastic surgery, I did it for 2 years as well, interviewing people. And I always got the feeling that it was really, really hard to gauge someone's personality just from 10 minutes you spend with them. Somebody can pretend or can make up a personality for 10 minutes and go with it. And so unfortunately, you're left with really what you're seeing on paper and that short interaction that you have. Now, within that short time space, if somebody shows some glaring signs, then you really should run away. That's just what I felt, because if they can't even compose within 10 minutes and do an interview right, and they say something outlandish, or they show some outlandish behavior, then can you imagine what it's going to look like in reality? So, but the things that we looked at were, so the scores were a way to get in, and then when you actually go to an interview, they will actually go through your package, discussing whatever you had in there with you. So we're looking for people who have different experiences, life experiences, backgrounds, motivations. There's some people who the reason why they got into what they were doing was for some very personal story that they had. So you always felt like these people they had a stronger motivation, and they were going to be better residents in general. And some people they've been excellent from when they were kids, and you could just see that in their application. They've done a ton of research, they've done this, that, great scores, great levels of recommendation, everyone's raving about them. So those were the ones that tend to catch people's eye. For an IMG, unfortunately, there are a lot of things are not available to you that are available to the AMGs. You may not have that glut of research experience that some of the AMGs had. You also may not have had the opportunity to meet with certain people in faculty who could write you strongly as a recommendation. So you can see how that puts you at an advantage. If you're looking at an IMG who might have a great score, and the rest of the application is just okay, and looking at an AMG whose score might not be as great, but everything else is stellar, you can see why it's really hard for an IMG to look better than them on paper and during the interview. And I think also being very good in speaking English is important, because people are biased without knowing that they're biased. If I'm sitting across from someone who cannot really articulate himself, no matter how good the application looks, at the back of my mind and back of most of the interviewers most of the time I was interviewing with AMGs, by the way, like my co-interviewers were Americans. They already feel like, oh, this person cannot really communicate, or person has some work to do. So if your spoken English is not that great, you really have to work on it to improve on it, because that can swing the interview one way or the other and get you ranked higher or lower.
Wow, that's a good point. So, if English is not your first language, you probably should pick up a Rosetta Stone or Babbel or something like that. Start learning, because when I came to America, I struggled with that a lot, right? We're from Nigeria, but the way we talk is different, right? Like we pronounce syllables. Like I'm going to the toilet, or I need a trouser, right? I remember walking into a store and I'm like, can I get a singlet? And the guy said, we don't sell singlet here. I said, dude, you guys are a 99-cent store. I just need a singlet, like singlet. So I kept pointing to the thing under it's like, do you mean an underwear? I said, is it white? He said, yes. He said, oh, it's called an underwear.
Not singlet.
It's not the same.
Right.
I probably broke memory of that. Right. And when I was in college, I used to sit in front talking to the biology professor, and I would raise my hand. And every time I spoke, the guy was like, huh? What are you saying? And my friend used to help me interpret I'm speaking English, and literally the guy is making fun of me. Because one time I asked him, like, how many chambers does the hat have? And he kept touching his head like, my hat? I'm like, yeah, he said, my hat doesn't have a chamber, dude. So one of the Americans said, no, he's talking about the heart. I was like, seriously? Like, and I got very frustrated.
Right. So
because it really makes a difference, right? What you say, if you're residents, right? You can't misspeak. Like if you say the wrong things,
absolutely,
you get chewed up alive.
Exactly. These are things that unfortunately an AMG doesn't even have to think about. You know,
No.
as an IMG, if you're not thinking about it, it could come back to bite. So you have to really work on not just your spoken English, but also, you know, your accent a little bit, try to sound a little bit more American. Unfortunately, that's what you have to do so that they don't look at you as a lesser of a candidate than the next person. Because if there are two IMGs and one of them is talking like an American, acting like American, they naturally feel like this person is more adapted. And unfortunately, you know, that's one thing that could actually decide between two people and how they rank them. So that's something to be aware of.
Wow, that's a really, I've never, that's something you live here long enough, you start forgetting those little
Yeah,
things that make it
absolutely.
keep the application one way or the other. Wow, this is
Yeah.
amazing. Now, somebody asks, like, does medical school GPA matter a lot?
For American graduates, it mattered more. For IMGs, not really. I can't recall any IMG that were looking at the application and said, "Oh, let's see what the medical school GPA was." But I can recall for AMGs, if you were in AOA, which is, you know, you had top of the class GPA, that was something that was looked upon. But most IMG schools don't have something like that. So no one really has time to go through all your like your transcripts and things like that. So I wouldn't say it's a big deal for IMGs. Now, having said that, if you get into the interview space and you have a few minutes to make an impression, nothing stops you from pulling attention to the parts of the application that are strong. Because you have like 10 minutes to make an impression. And sometimes the interviewers don't even have time. Because I remember then they'll give us a stack. You have to go through everything. Sometimes you get it a few days before. And remember, as a chief resident, I have like cases due. So you know, I'm just skimming through, just looking for what's important, you know. So sometimes you might miss stuff, and you can actually bring the attention to it, you know. And you can't do it in a cocky way. You have to do it in a nuanced way. And be like, yeah, you know, in the med school, I was fortunate enough to just say, see my GPA, this was what it was, you know, that kind of stuff. So you have to pull attention to the strong parts of the application, because if you don't, and you go out of that interview and nobody even knew that you were strong in med school, then sorry, that's nothing. But that's something to think about. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Now, did your school help you get electives here, or how did you connect to try to get? Did you do
Yeah. So
competitions or observerships? Those are like two.
well, I did both. I did electives while I was in med school. I did observerships after I moved here while I was preparing, taking the steps. I was also working. I was a tutor. I used to teach medical students and nursing students and all that for some companies and eventually private tutoring. But this my med school didn't really help. It was more of like a personal thing. And again, I had that small group that I had who were all like, you know, the American dreamers. So we all kind of found information ourselves. One of us went and came back, and then the rest of us said, okay, this is a viable pathway to get elected. So but the only way the school helped was they had to sign something. And anyone here who's been to Nigerian med school understands that in itself can be more can be more tasky than everything else. Chasing people down, trying to, you know, trying
Beg
to
people, go
encourage them to
slower.
wait. So I wouldn't say they really helped. If anything, sometimes they slowed it down.
The actual obstructions to get you.
Right. You had to speak their language. But ultimately, you know, doing that I think was very helpful. Doing whatever it took to do that was really helpful. Yeah, so no, they were not I wouldn't say they were like championing the cause for me. It was more of a personal private thing. Yeah.
Wow. Now, when you were spending all that money, right? I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
recall how much money you even spent through the whole
Jeez.
process.
I don't even want to remember that.
Well,
Yeah.
you're well accomplished plastic surgeon today.
Right, right. That is true. That is true. So it was worth it. But back then it was, you know, it was something. Because like I said, I was working and just saving, and everything I saved was going into that. And you can imagine doing all of that and then not matching. So that I never ever thought for once that I wasn't going to match. Never. I don't know why. I just never thought I wasn't going to. I just thought that no matter what happens, I'm going to be doing something in clinical medicine, you know, at the end of all of this. I never gave it a thought for once. And I had, again, like I said, plan A, plan B, plan C. And I think that's important also to have a mindset, because sometimes your mind kind of goes into, you know, what eventually happens. Like the way you program your mind goes into what eventually happens. And it never crossed my mind for once. Even when I was getting 10% response and I was calling all those programs, I was still very confident that I was going to be doing something somewhere. at the end of all of this. And I've seen people that it took more than one cycle, for whatever reason, scores, whatever, and eventually they did match. And I've also seen a few people who decided not to continue to pursue this. Either the passion went away or they just gave up on the whole thing. But I've seen more people who did, who persevered and who actually got it. So that's something to note as well.
So I always tell, all our IMGs, everyone in the group right now watching the all IMGs, that yes, the process is very hard. It's grueling, but even as hard as it feels from the IMG side, it's no different from the American graduates. Like the anxiety and the panic attacks that American medical students go through, even with high scores, and plus the massive amount of student loans they're walking out with, 200, 400 grand, right? On their backload. Although an IMG, as an IMG, it looks like a bigger struggle because, you have to work for a couple pennies here, put some money together, right? But you don't have a massive student loan burden, right? Compared to an American graduate.
Unless you go to Caribbean.
Except you go to Caribbean medical school.
Right, it's really different, so I totally agree with you. I mean, it's a fact that the match rate for American graduates is higher. That's a fact. And there's some things that are key into making that happen, right? Like I said, the American graduate, they assume that they know the system, they have more access to letters, connections, all that stuff. And you are coming in as an IMG, they just somehow assume that your training is kind of substandard, and then you don't have access to a lot of these things. So that one is a fact. But there's still 50 to 60% of IMGs who match every year, and there's no reason why you cannot be one of them. There's absolutely no reason. If you start planning early, fix your mindset, do the right things, do well on your board, you're more than likely going to match. You're more than likely going to match than not match.
So you called up all the programs on the phone?
Every single one I didn't hear from. Every single one. I called.
That must be close to 90 programs. Because if you're telling me 10%, how many interviews did you get in total?
So at the end of the day, I ended up with about 14 or 15. There was only one I couldn't attend because it clashed. But it clashed with the place I eventually matched. So I don't think that was a big deal. It was on the same day, and I was willing to travel from Pennsylvania to New York quickly to meet it, but it wasn't going to happen. So, but I guess my point is that from your question, yes, I called every single program who I hadn't either gotten a rejection or an acceptance from. And then when I was done with that, I started calling the ones I got rejection from, saying, this was later in the cycle, saying, just in case, just in case you gotta change your mind or somebody cancel. And I still got one interview from doing that.
Wow, that's amazing.
They told me, she first said, we're pretty much done selecting everyone we want to select. I was like, okay, well, I did get a rejection from you, but I was just calling just to see if anything has changed. And I said, wait, let me look at your application again. So she flipped through. I was on the phone. I was hearing her, clicking or whatever. And then she calls back and says, actually, we just had a couple of late cancellations, but this is only for a preliminary purpose. I don't care what it's for. Just send me the email. So she said, okay. And I went for it. I didn't end up going there, which is fine, but I wasn't going to take any chances. Like I said, I was going to be doing something at the end of this cycle. I wasn't going to go through all of this again because the whole process is really tough. It's a tough process. Taking the exams and you think, you've gotten through, and then you have to do the match. Even after the match, starting residency is totally different entirely. So it never ends really, maybe until you're done. You get to where we are now.
Now tell people what your life feels like right now. You spent, 5 years general surgery, 3 years fellowship. That's 8 years in total. That's a long time. Plastics, neurosurgery, cardiothoracics, interventional radiology, and interventional cardiology is probably one of the longest trainings in medicine. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so your question is, what's my life like right now? A whole lot better than what it was prior to all of this. So surgery training is hard. It's probably one of the hardest training that you could do. General surgery, I think, is probably one of the hardest. Again, I've only done general surgery and plastics. And I know that my life in plastics was better. It still involved taking call late nights, but I think general surgery was a lot more brutal. And I think it's more brutal when you're in the lower cater, when your first couple of years, when you're trying to get used to things, and you're trying to learn a lot of stuff. At the same time, trying to make sure that you do what you need to do to be a good resident. It gets better as you go higher, and then when you finish, you can really make your life how you want it to be, because it now becomes a question of how much work do I want to do, where do I want to work, am I going to be focused on making a ton of money, or am I going to be focused on lifestyle? You become the master of your own shit, pretty much. And that's how it was for me. In my case, when I first moved to the States, I landed in Houston, Texas. That's where I did all of this before moving out to train. I always knew I was coming back to Houston, Texas. So I said, there's no amount of money that I'm going to be offered anywhere else that's going to take me away from here, because I have family here, I have connections, friends, whatever, coming back to this town. And so I came back here, not with the best job offer, but comfortable that I had made the right decision. And it ultimately points to the fact that you can go anywhere and make of it what you want it to be. So I've come here and I've built my practice the way I want it to be. I'm very happy with the way it is. So I would say life is 100 times better than to answer your question. 100 times better from all spheres. Yeah.
So what do you focus on? Like, what's your typical day like, now as a plastic surgeon?
Yeah, so my typical day, okay, so I work with Lexington Plastic Surgeons. It's a multi-state, same single specialty group practice. I'm the only surgeon here in the Texas area. My office is in Sugar Land, a suburb of Houston. I also help out at the local hospital on half a day a week, helping them with their wounds, wound care, limb salvage, that kind of stuff. So my practice is mostly about 80% cosmetic and 20% reconstructive, right? And then I have, I also do some work at, Houston has one of the biggest, if not the biggest medical center in the world. So for 2 days a week, I'm in the medical center, also doing cosmetic surgery. So that's the general practice. A typical day for me, I'm up by 6 a.m. And I usually start my cases sometime between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. And if it's a full operating day, we can operate till 5, 6, 7 in the evening. If it's a clinic day, I start a little later and we're done a little earlier than usual. And then on a day that I'm at the wound center, it tends to be a shorter day because I do surgeries in the morning, either like reconstruction of lower extremity, flaps, things like that. I see patients in the clinic in the afternoon. And then Saturdays are optional for me. I can choose to work as much as I want on Saturdays, or as little as I want. And if I'm working on Saturdays, I'm usually at the medical center. I usually tailor to a higher end clientele who don't have time to work during the week and who can only see you in the weekend. So that's sort of how I structure and I kind of structured it that way just to fit my lifestyle and also to have time for family. Yeah.
Nice. Wow, congratulations. I am so honored to have you. You have given us so much advice today. It's amazing, your journey, overcoming the odds and showing people. We bring physicians like you here to our webinar because, Smash USMLE is focused on basically helping them get high board scores, better test takers, becoming good physicians. But more importantly, we want to set them up for success and show them what success looks like. Because through your stories, through people like you and other people who have come on our show, they can believe, because there's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of people telling people, no, you can't do this. I tried, I didn't make it. And it's easy for people to give up. So I'm so happy you were able to share your story. I just wanted you to share one more word of before you leave, anything you want, particularly just tell the IMGs that are on the group.
Yeah, so one thing I'll say is everyone's journey is a little different, but IMGs all share certain things in common. I mean, the fact that you left your country to come to a completely different country to pursue, further your medical education and your training, that's already a huge deal. So you can never forget that, that drive that took you from the country to come here, you're probably more driven than the average American person, and you can never forget that. So there's going to be a lot of obstacles. I can go on for days talking about what I faced, training and all that. But ultimately, you have to remember that you are more resilient than the average American person. And if you've made up your mind that this is what you want to do, you have to pursue it to the end. I remember that at the end of the tunnel, there's always like a bright light. I don't know a lot of people who have finished training and who are practicing now who say, oh, I wish I didn't go through this process. No, most people will say, okay, even though sometimes I felt like quitting when I was there, but I'm glad that I stayed through it and I got through it because life is so much better now. You know, having either like a green card or citizenship helps a lot. And it kind of opens you up to a few more opportunities than someone who's on a visa. So let's not forget that. And that's part of what I mean by everyone's journey is a little different. You know, so, but regardless, you know, plan early, do well on the exams, have the mindset, and no matter what happens, I'm going to, you know, go through with this and just keep your focus on getting to the very end of the training and finishing, and then tailoring your life the way you want it to be.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time on the show today. I know you're a very busy man. You guys have no idea how I even got him here. I just stole 1 hour that cost thousands and thousands of dollars just to get him. So I didn't even pay him enough for this, but thank you so much. Hopefully we get to, you know, after COVID is all said, we got to sit down to have a dinner, you know.
Yeah, I know I agree with you. I mean, for me, this is something that I've been doing. Even when I was still taking exams, I was talking to a lot of people who, because some people at the time were thinking that because I had some information that I was somehow, you know, up there, not that I was still trying to figure things out. So I've always been involved, you know, trying to help people, students, mentoring, that kind of stuff. And you know, it's something that I actually enjoy doing. So that's why I didn't hesitate when you asked me to come on here and talk to, you know, talk to folks. Yeah.
Do you like people rotate with you at all, or like paid rotation, something like
So
that?
yeah, so the group doesn't do that, and there are different reasons for that. You know, like I said, I work for a group, so I don't have 100% control over that. And now with the whole COVID situation, you know, it's really hard to like sneak someone in to kind of the kind of stuff because they have strict rules. But that's something that I'm pushing them in the direction of because I think that ultimately it's important to create opportunity for the people that are below you. And sometimes they might never see any opportunity anywhere else. So if we who have gotten through it and gotten there, who know how hard it was, you know, how looking for opportunity back then, cannot create opportunities for other people, then you're not completing the cycle. But I'm pushing them in that direction. So we'll see what happens.
I totally agree. I mean, I let people come and do shadowing. They can do shadowing with me in the ER, but they have to go through the
Mhm.
hospital protocol before they can come and work with me in the emergency department. But not every hospital lets that. You know, some of the hospitals I work at don't let students at all. And that's the one thing I always feel like, you know, it's a way of giving back, like an opportunity for them to see real
Mhm.
patients, even if they can't touch them. But,
Mhm.
you know, hopefully we keep working on that to create these open opportunities for the future. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys hang
Absolutely.
around because I have something special. If you need any plastic surgeon in Sugar Land, at Lexington group,
In the whole Houston area.
in the
The whole
Houston
Houston
area,
area.
right? In the whole Houston area, Dr. Stanley Ogu, board certified plastic surgeon. Listen,
Yes. And
uh,
my IG is Dr.Stan_plastics on Instagram. That's my Instagram. And if you guys want to, you know, reach out to me there or wherever, you know, feel free to. I have a lot of clients who also fly in from outside of, you know, Texas, outside of the country. And so, you know, I'm available for whatever you all need.
can you say that IG again?
Yeah, it's Dr. dot Stan Stan_plastics.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my Instagram handle.
All right.
I also, you know, have a Facebook, Stanley Ogu MD, and that's one of the ways I reach out to clients.
All right. Perfect. So if people need you, you know, to come see you in the office, you know, I'll be sending people to your office.
So on my way, I'll take care of it.
All right. You have an awesome weekend. Say hi to your wife and your kids for me.
I'll
God
do
bless
that.
you. And
Same to you.
take care.
All right, take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about that? Like, just, I want to see some comments here. You know, thank you. I mean, Dr. Stanley has just dropped some amazing nuggets here for us today. You can hang up the line. That's fine. We'll take care of the rest. So, guys, was that helpful? Like, what do you guys think? Like, I mean, I'm just reflecting on some of the things He said, I want to see some comments inside the chat right now before we go to the next segment. So the first thing I think stood out when he was saying is that he actually picked up the phone and called almost 90 programs, or probably 80 something programs. Literally, I didn't even know that, like, I'm just being honest, like even where he got rejected. So I always tell people, when people tell you no, to me, it sounds more like a maybe. All right. And if you don't take matters into your hand, don't be afraid of picking up the phone and questioning things. Okay. I mean, literally, not just call. He had one mindset. You see, one thing I like about his story is that he was committed to general surgery all the way. And it was general surgery or plastics. He wants to be a plastic surgeon. And I know sometimes on an IMG, when you start sharing your dreams with people, like, I want to be a plastic surgeon, people are like, whoa, that's an impossible feat. I just showed you with Dr. Stanley here that it is possible. Now, of course, he applied backup of a backup, like, okay, I'm going to apply categorical, I'm going to apply transitional year, right, preliminary year, but I'm going to apply to general surgery. He even applied to plastics, got rejected, but he knew what he wanted. I think the most important thing for you guys is to have a clear vision. Your vision must be so clear, and you must be so adamant and stubborn that this is what I want. I always tell people the most dangerous man or woman on the planet is a man or woman who knows what they want and they're willing to do anything to get it. Be it a good thing or a bad thing, right? We're in medicine, we're the most hardworking people on the planet. Like, we just don't give up, right? Now, and he said, listen, you coming in either as an IMG coming in or even an American grad, doesn't matter. You are already have a mindset of hard work. Now, you may always feel every day like, oh my God, like, I don't feel like I'm working hard enough, but your work ethic already supersedes 99% of the people you're going to be surrounded with. Most people will not even pick up a book and read like 2 pages. They're tired. We're reading 400, 500, 800 pages of text, mastering the information and taking this board exam. That right there, it's amazing. Okay. So check this out. Listen, nothing is impossible. Now, I've got something important I wanted to share with you guys today. All right. So I've been working on a project for the last 10 years. And the project actually started with this book. Okay. So in 2010, I published this book, How to Prepare for the Medical Boards, Secret for Success on the USMLE Step 1 and Complex Level 1. And you can see right there, that's my name, and with Dr. Farouk Tahir. Both of us are board certified ER physicians right now. And I remember this is the book I was a third year after I finished my board exam back then in my osteopathic medical school at Rowan SOM. And I went into every interview with my book, right? Literally, I walk in and I'm like, oh, by the way, I published a book, and that was just like a bombshell, right? They're like, dude, you published a book as a medical student? And this was almost 2010, 10 years ago, right? And back then I was a student, so I wrote from a student mindset. And of course, things has changed. Got 17 interviews for emergency medicine, matched my top 3, right? Got 99% out of my boards. And then eventually now created smashusmle.com, which has been going over like the last 10 years to be online. Now, I wanted to write a new book. And I wanted to make an updated version of this book. And it took me almost 10 years to finally finish the project. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the all-new book that just literally got released. You guys are the first set of people to see this live today. I wanted to show you guys the brand new book that I just released yesterday called the USMLE and Complex Success Secrets. Okay. And it has the International Medical Graduate Road to Residency Guide all the way on the inside. And this is the book that's going to teach how every medical student can use a simple proven formula to score over 260 on the USMLE or 760 on the complex, become the top candidate and match into top US residency. I am so excited about this new release. Like, literally, the book just came out yesterday. And I said, I'm going to hold on the news before I kind of tell you guys about it. Okay. And literally, it's 300 pages long. It is amazing. Like, what I did was I worked with Dr. Juan Chango and Dr. Farouk Tahir. All right. And what we did was, and I also have multiple contributors that contributed to the success. So I want to first give a shout out to all the contributors in the book. They were amazing. They made this book absolutely phenomenal. So I went to an osteopathic school, and I also did my residency in allopathic residency. And I took USMLE step 1, step 2, CK, complex level 1, complex level 2, CE, level 3, taking my in-service exam in emergency medicine, did my written emergency medicine boards and my oral emergency medicine boards, and I'm a board certified ER physician now. So I have seen the whole gamut. Of course, I'm a USMLE guru, right? I teach this day and night, step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And that's where USMLE, Smash USMLE originated from. But I wanted to write a full book that literally would give you guys the guide from point A to point Z. Literally, I poured everything that I've known over the last 10 years, all my expert knowledge. Then I took other experts, in the field. Dr. Juan Chango has been on one of our webinars in the past, and he literally was the one that contributed to the IMG. He wrote the whole IMG journey, then I added more to it. Literally, if you don't buy this book, I don't know what to tell you. This is the book you're gonna need. It's literally, think of it as like an encyclopedia, a guide that literally gives you step-by-step details. Like I went to intricate details, study strategies. I'm gonna give you guys just a little sneak preview for those of you already today in our webinar. I just wanna kind of show you some of the inside of what's in the book, okay? So you guys can see. Let me pull some of that up here online so you guys can see it. Just give me 1 second. Let me pull up the book here. But it's on Amazon. You can get it right now on Amazon for just $19.95, right? That's it. Or you can get it on Kindle for $9.99 on Kindle. You can download it immediately right now. The book is packed with all the knowledge that I had, all the experience with all the contributors. Literally, if you're a US allopathic medical student, if you're an osteopathic medical student, there's a whole dedicated chapter for allopathic students in the who are US grads, a whole chapter dedicated to osteopathic medical students who are currently in osteopathic medical schools. And for there's about 80 pages literally in the book that goes step by step, everything you want to know. Because I get calls all the time, right? People call me, they call our company. They're like, Dr. Adesina, I'm an IMG. I don't know how to even begin studying for the USMLE. What am I supposed to do? Step 1, step 2, step 3, like step 4. What is the next thing, right? And what I've done is literally outline all the amazing secrets that nobody tells you about. Listen, I know a lot of you probably going on Reddit, or probably like you're going on, Instagram, and you're going on Quora, and you're going on, USMLE forums, and you're looking for information. Listen, the strategies that I've used to coach 10,000 students, all right, who has come through our course, right, literally done well, average of 220 to 250 on the USMLE. I just have to put it in the book because I said it's about time we just put this knowledge so that people can have it in their hands, right? Just, I'm going to put the link right here for you guys for Amazon link. All right. So you guys can get, direct link to it. I'm going to also post it for you guys who are on the webinar. I want you guys to be the first one to get the first fresh copy that literally just released on Amazon. Like you can get a copy right now. Okay. On Amazon.com. It's also on, you can also see it on Barnes and Nobles, okay? So I am gonna put the link for you guys here so you guys can get a copy, okay? Get a copy right now, okay? Because literally, it's amazing. I am so proud of this work because, here's the link for you guys. So some of, and let me put it inside the webinar for the students also here so you can see. Let's put up the chat. There we go. There you go. I'm gonna put this so you guys who are in the group, for those of you guys already in the Smart MD WhatsApp group, I'm gonna also put that in there for you guys so you guys can see. But this book, it's amazing. Like I'm telling you. So there's a chapter where I talk about the secrets of how to dissect USMLE questions, step by steps, how to look at USMLE questions, analyze them, break them down step by step, use the ease method, use the checkpoint system. Like these are the secrets that I actually typically normally share with just the students who are in our coaching program who pay almost, thousands and thousands of dollars to join our course. But literally I put it all in this book, all right? The audiobook should be coming out soon. So, that will be available on Amazon probably in the next few weeks, but this is a brand new release. I want you guys all to go right now. I put the link for you guys. Just click on the link. Go right now, get your own copy. All right. This is what it looks like on Amazon.com. It's only $19.95. Listen, for just $20 or even $10 for the Kindle version, you're going to have instant access literally to all the wealth of knowledge, all my years of experience teaching students over the last 10 years on USMLE prep, complex prep, IMG prep, right? Every step of the way, what you should, the mistakes IMGs makes, I highlighted them in the book and how you can avoid them. All right. All the things that you want to know, all the answers to your questions. I literally thought of everything possible that students have asked me over the last 10 years. And I said, I want to put in a book because this is a way for me to answer all your questions for you. It's an easy read. You can just sit back, digest each chapter, come back to the chapter once you're done. All right. I mean, it is phenomenal. I am so happy with this work. It took us 10 years to put it together, but I'm gonna put it here for you guys. Get a copy right now. Go on Amazon, buy your own copy. All right. And tell your friends about it. Like, listen, this, a lot of books out there. Some people just talk. I even talk about the roadmap to residency. All right. Programs that you should be using, softwares that you should be using when you're applying to residency. All right. That a lot of students will know about, like literally. I'm going to put this also on our SmartMD WhatsApp group today because I'm going to make the announcement. So for you guys who are in the SmartMD WhatsApp group, if you guys don't know, some of you guys are watching live online on YouTube right now. So if people are part of our course, they join our SmartMD WhatsApp group. In that group, they have direct access to me and my team. And that's basically, they're the ones that get first notification about anything that's particular to the USMLE questions, anything they're struggling with. So literally get the book, buy one for your friends, give it to everyone you know. Literally, this book is going to change your life. All right. So don't forget it. USMLE and Complex Success Secrets. It has an international medical graduate road to residency guides on the inside. This will change your life. Okay. Now there's more. Now let me ask you a question. A lot of you guys, if you're still struggling to study for the USMLE and you're like, you know what, I'm not sure if, Smash USMLE Reviews is the right program for me. I'm still on the fence. I haven't made up my mind yet. Maybe this is not, what I really want. Maybe you failed the USMLE before and you've tried Kaplan, you've tried, other programs and you failed. And you're like, I keep seeing Dr. Adesina on YouTube. I'm seeing him on Facebook. I'm seeing him everywhere. And he keeps telling me like, I should join the program. Well, listen, if you have faith, let me ask you a question. This is Taylor. She's one of our students who literally failed step 1, came through our program in 3 months and crushed the USMLE in 3 months. Let's listen to her story.
Hey there, my name's Taylor and I just passed step 1. Yay. So I just want to talk a little bit about my journey. I'm currently a 4th year medical student and I went through Trinity School of Medicine on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Coming from the island to the States was kind of a difficult transition. You're away from your school base, and I started studying for step 1 on my own, and unfortunately did not pass the first time around, which was incredibly devastating and discouraging at the time. So I knew the second time around, I needed a different approach. I've been an athlete my whole life, have had some amazing coaches, so I needed to find a coach and a personalized program. I'm also very financially conscious, so I also needed a program that kind of fit in my budget and a program where I get the most bang for my buck. So I was actually watching an ad of Dr. Adesina, and I felt like he was speaking directly to me because he was talking about somebody in my situation who had a fail and was very hopeful that, with hard work, I could rewrite my own story and use it to my advantage, that I overcame something. So that gave me a lot of hope. And I took his program into consideration and compared it price-wise against other programs, price and effectiveness. And it seemed like Smash USMLE was going to be a good fit for me. So I was paired with a tutor, and my tutor was amazing. We met once a week, every week leading up to my exam, and he completely made a personalized program just for me and my schedule. I love to work out every day, so we definitely incorporated things that I love to do to make studying enjoyable. but also made it really effective for me. And every week we would make adjustments, what was working, what was not. We'd go over questions, we'd go over test taking strategy. I really felt like I got a lot of bang for my buck. He provided me a lot of materials, the newest edition of First Aid PDF for free, flashcards, educational videos, just lots of resources that were really cost effective or cost nothing at all, that were really helpful. So I felt like I was studying very efficiently and had a good time with my tutor. He actually became a really good friend. So he was very encouraging, would check in, and even leading up to my test, Dr. Adesina reached out personally, which I thought was awesome, and gave me some really encouraging words. And after I had taken my test and passed, he had a lot of kind things to say as well. So it was awesome to see his involvement in the program. There's a WhatsApp group that talks about questions and just different things surrounding, the USMLEs and residency match. So it was really helpful to be connected to that whole community. And honestly, everything that I learned leading up for step 1, I'm taking into step 2 and will also help me with step 3. So I really feel like I got the most bang for my buck and just had a really enjoyable experience studying for one of the biggest tests of my life. So if you're on the fence about it, give it a try. Work with one of the tutors. I promise it's such a good investment. Go for it and good luck.
All right. So that is Taylor's story. She overcame the odds even after failing the USMLE. She took the risk. She joined our program. But a lot of students like, so how does your program work? Listen, we offer 2 plans. We have a USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK course. We have a 4-week live hybrid USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK masterclass, all right, with a lifetime package, all right? So it's basically in 30 days, you're gonna learn everything that's high yield for Step 1, including Step 2 CK, the live hybrid masterclass course. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it later, and you always have a lifetime access to our lectures. Or you can do for the self-paced. You're like, hey, listen, I just want to study by myself. You're opting for the self-paced online USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK course, plus the masterclass lectures. That comes either with a 3-month, 6-month, or lifetime plan. Now, you're going to learn our proprietary Smart MD training program. Okay. If you've never heard what Smart MD stand for, okay, Smart MD means strategy, which is the S. This is where we teach you how to prepare for the USMLE. How to dissect USMLE questions. How do you study daily with your schedule? M is mastery of clinical content, which is we use our USMLE lecture videos to teach you high yield concepts on the USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK. Also, A is assessment of clinical knowledge. We provide you thousands of USMLE practice questions to get you ready for the exam day. And R is review and repeat, where we teach you how to use flashcards for rapid recall. And finally, you get the test day taking strategies. We're going to teach you how to avoid mistakes on the actual exam. How do you get ready for the test day? How do you know you're actually ready to take the USMLE exam itself? So here's step 1. The first thing is when you join our program, you're going to fill out the application. That's it right there. You're going to say, welcome to the Smash USMLE Boards Coaching Program. You're going to check your email and fill out your application form. And then you're going to book your personal coaching call with us within 48 hours. Now you get 1 hour for 3 months, 2 hours for 6 months, and 4 hours of coaching with lifetime plans. Now your USMLE coach will contact you to book your first discovery call on Skype. And step 2, you're gonna meet your coach on Skype or even Zoom. Now you can see one of our students right here. He's getting private coaching. It's in the comfort of your own home. Our coaches come directly to you online. You have all your questions, and we train you on how to study for the USMLE the right way. So your USMLE coach will help you with the following. First, we're going to review your MBME score report. 2, we're going to set your target score. And 3, we're going to determine your strong and weak areas on the USMLE. And then 4, we get a detailed self-assessment profile about you and teach you the correct strategies on how to study for the USMLE exam. Then we're going to create a complete personalized study schedule based on your resources, which means, everybody's study schedule is completely different, right? This is not a one-size-fits-all program. Whether you're working full-time, part-time, you're working just a few hours a week, maybe you're only studying 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours a day, we will customize your own personalized study schedule. This is one thing we do that programs out there do not do. Then we give you actionable plan for future meetings, and your coach will eventually follow up with you to monitor your progress in the program. Now, what we do is we use your future MBME score reports to recommend changes to your study schedule as needed. Now, step 3, you then join our Smart MD WhatsApp group. Now, you're going to check your first email. You click a special link to join our VIP Smart MD WhatsApp group. And in our group, you're going to get daily USMLE questions of the day to challenge your medical knowledge. We're going to give you daily answers and explanations to these USMLE questions. You get 24/7 support to answer any USMLE related questions that you have. And then you can also join our hump day, where we have a group session every Wednesday where we call the hump day, where a group of students, IMGs, get online together, they study together, and that comes in free. We give you the link to it. If you're not part of the group, you cannot get access to that. So if you're studying by yourself and you feel miserable and lonely, you want to be part of the group, because any questions that you have, you literally can ask inside the group. There's one of the students that's already there. It's a student-to-student teaching. It's usually 1 to 2 hours long. It's amazing. It's our student network. You get access to that. You also get access to our monthly private USMLE webinars, just like the one you're watching right now, right? Literally, you're going to be the first person to get the link to register before anybody else. And we only have a limited amount of spots. So that's because you're part of the Smart MD WhatsApp group. We give you the link first, you register in advance. And if the class is full, then nobody else can even get into this webinar, something like you're watching live right now. Also, you get the up-to-date USMLE and residency information that we post anytime any new changes happen in regards to the USMLE. So you become the first to know. And then you get motivational videos from me, Dr. Adesina, to help you push you to study more and more. And then you get access to me and my team to help you to support you to succeed on the USMLE. Now, step 4, you can start the Smart MD training course. So after your discovery coaching call, you're going to watch the Smart MD training course at smashusmle.com. You're going to learn how to study the right way for the USMLE with our Smart MD course. You're going to watch short video series on the correct study strategies for the USMLE and learn how to understand clinical vignettes for the USMLE. You're also going to learn how to start your pre-dedicated and dedicated USMLE study periods, and how to dissect USMLE questions, plus how to use your first aid for the USMLE Step 1 and Yale G First Aid, Crush USMLE Step 2 CK, and Step 3 books. Then comes mastery of the clinical knowledge. If you're doing the self-paced course, this is where I teach you the correct strategies on how to master the concept from first aid. Listen, I've covered literally over 700 videos that have about 99% of the content in first aid for the USMLE, and that's where you're going to learn everything you need to know in a short amount of time. The videos are simple to understand. They're based on the latest edition of first aid. Listen, this is one of the comments from one of our students that attended our course. She said, listen, I totally agree with you, Dr. Adesina. One of the greatest things you have done in your smashusmle.com videos is breaking down the concepts down in such a way that even a layman on the street will understand the medical jargons. These videos are amazing. They're simple to understand. Like literally, if you're struggling to understand your first aid or your Step 2 CK book, don't worry about it. I've made lectures on it. I simplify with jokes, mnemonics. It's like you're just going to be entertained while you're learning at the same time. But wait, there's more. Let's say you start to study for the urea cycle. You pull up your first aid and you say, okay, I'm going to study urea cycle. It's going to be like 16 minutes on the website. All you do is basically go to that section. You may not understand this pathway, but watch this. I break everything down step by step for you. I only tell you what's high yield, what enzyme you need to know, right? That's usually tested on the USMLE exam. And you're also going to get a reference. So as you're watching the video, you're opening your first and you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is so easy. And we update the references every year. For our Step 2 CK, the book we recommend is Yale G First Aid, Crush USMLE Step 2 CK and Step 3. This is the best Step 2 and Step 3 CK book on the planet. I know a lot of you are probably using Master the Boards or some Kaplan notes, or maybe like UWorld notes, but literally, Dr. Yogi is one of my partners. He wrote this book and literally went through the entire UWorld QBank and wrote all the high yield information and all the concepts that are commonly tested on Step 2 CK and Step 3. This is the book you get. Here's the good news. We give you this book for free when you join our program. We are going to mail you a free copy. Now, if you live in the US, it's free, in terms of like shipping. If you live outside the United States, you only have to cover the cost of shipping. That's it. But literally, you can go into the book. Let's say you're reading about thoracic trauma, right? You click on the link and then you can see the references and while you're watching the lectures on our website. Now, let me introduce you to our 4-week live hybrid USMLE masterclass course. Like, this is the best 4-week live hybrid USMLE master course on the planet. And I mean it. Listen, if you've never heard of a USMLE masterclass before, what this is basically, think about it as like condensed cases of the most high yield concepts and integrating everything you're supposed to know for the boards in 30 days. Yeah, that's it. Like 30 days of super high yield review for about 2 to 3 hours a day. The masterclass hold daily. It starts between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern time every day for 31 days. And I'll be teaching you guys with my team to answer your questions, right? We have a live moderator that's going to be there to answer any questions that you have, where we cover all these high yield concepts on the USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK. Now, we cover subjects like from cardio, endocrine, GI, neuroscience, renal, reproductive, derm, musculoskeletal, psych, biochemistry, biostatistics, respiratory, micro, hemonc, immunology, path and pharm. Listen, the only part we don't cover for the Step 2 CK is like OB, OBGYN, general surgery, pediatrics, but we already have video lectures on our website that actually complement that with a full QBank. Now, at the end of class, it's only about 2 to 3 hours of super high yield intense review. Then you get access to our quizzes, where you get instant access to our quizzes. You also get to see the video. So we record the lecture, so you have access to the video and the audio lectures, usually around 11 p.m. in the evening. You must complete a 40-question quiz daily, which, at the end of the 30 days, you've literally gone through 1,200 USMLE questions. It is that intense. But at the end of the course, you're going to be able to also get access to the self-paced course lectures and the masterclass, which means, you come to the 4-week course, you still have access to those video lectures after course is over. And then we give you access to the self-paced course, which is all our full video sessions that you can also use to learn as you go, as you study for board exam. Now, if you're an IMG, and let's say you're in a Caribbean medical school, some Caribbean medical school will ask you, hey, if you go take a course, we want you to show us a certificate of completion. You get a certificate of completion after those 30 days, and you can download it and basically send it to your school as a proof that you came through our course. So to see, this is all available on, to see a sample of a masterclass on smashusmlereviews.com. Now, remember, you're gonna get access to the masterclass videos, notes, audio lectures, practice daily questions, and you get USMLE lecture notes with each video. All right, so we provide you our notes. You can download them. They're up to date. All right, and you get access to our QBank. This is how you assess your clinical knowledge, right? That's 2,200 Step 1 questions, over 2,000 Step 2 CK questions. As you learn from our USMLE video library, you can test your knowledge with our top-rated USMLE question bank. It's written by our physician experts. And finally, you get to the R, right? Rapid review, review, repeat, and reinforce, right? So we have actually, I need to fix that. Now we have about 10,000 Step 1 flashcards, 1,500 Step 2 CK flashcards. That's just been updated in the last couple of weeks. But you're gonna learn from these flashcards because, like, little, short flashcards to kind of give you, reinforce the knowledge that you've forgotten using our top-rated USMLE flashcards. And finally, test day taking strategy. So I'm going to share with you our USMLE exam day rituals, where you're going to learn the top 20 things you must do before taking the USMLE exam from our exam day secret webinar. And it comes with a free ebook. Literally, I'm going to share with you everything you must do step by step before you walk into the exam. Every of our students, what they get is when they come through our program, before they take the USMLE, they have to watch this video because I've shared with you everything you're going to see. You're literally going to walk into the exam hall, and my voice will be playing in your head like, wow, Dr. Adesina said this. And people have come back. A lot of our students will come back and say, oh my gosh, Dr. Adesina, thank you. Look, thank you for actually sharing these secrets with me, because I used to have panic attack anxiety and I was stressed out. But for you telling me everything I'm supposed to see and the day of the exam, like, for example, there were questions that I didn't understand. I had no idea. And I'm glad you told me not to worry about those, because I can just skip them and focus on the questions I know the answers to. Like, all these amazing secrets that I share with you guys inside this webinar, you get that also. So we have a 97% pass rate on the USMLE because we work with you until you hit your target score. Listen, the reason we have a high pass rate is because before all our students take the USMLE, they must meet with their coaches, and their coach must certify that they're ready to take the exam. If you're not hitting your target score, we force you we can't force you, but ideally we tell you, you cannot take this exam, push your exam date. Let's work with you, do some tutoring. Let's get your score to where it's supposed to be. A lot of IMGs, the biggest mistake they make is they try to go do things on their own without proper coaching. Listen, Michael Jordan has a coach. LeBron James has a coach. And these are the top players in the world who play basketball, right? So don't underestimate the importance of why we offer you guys coaching in this program, because we save you from so much anxiety, so much stress, so that you have somebody who's guiding, somebody who's done it, right? And that's what you want. That's why we have a Super 97 pass rate in the USMLE. So let's review. Here's what you're gonna get with the Smash USMLE review course, all right? With the 4-week live hybrid USMLE Masterclass, remember, it's 4 weeks, but you get lifetime access to the video lectures, the question bank, video lecture, flashcards, everything, right? But here's what you get. You got to get 19 subjects covering you online USMLE Step 1, Step 2 CK Masterclass, about 94 hours roughly. That's a $4,997 value. 1,200 USMLE Step 1 practice quizzes. That's a $997 value. 2,000 USMLE Step 2 CK Q Bank, right? If you're opting for this Step 2 CK course, that's a $997 value. You get first aid. You also get Smart MD training course, okay, which is $1997 value. You get a USMLE Step 1 study schedules with 6 weeks. We have a 12-week, we have a 6 months, all right? We also have a 6-month schedule where you download for free on our website, but we're gonna customize it with you when you meet with our coaches. You also get a USMLE Step 1 notes from our lectures, almost 1,800 pages of lecture notes, $497 value. You get exclusive access to our VIP Smart MD WhatsApp group. That's a $2,997 value. And daily USMLE study tips, that's $997 value. 24/7 email support. And plus, it comes in addition with all the video lectures that's already been on the website, pre-recorded, 220 hours of USMLE Step 1 or Step 2 CK video lectures. That's a $4,997 value. 4,000 USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK Q Bank, $997 value. You get a private coaching call with our coaches. That's our $1997 value. You also get the USMLE Prep audiobook, right, which is the previous edition of this book that I wrote, $120 value. If you get opting for the Step 2 CK, you get the Yale G First Stage Crush Step 2 CK or Step 3 book. That's a $57 value. Instant access to all our high yield flashcards. That's a $297 value. And how to prepare for the USMLE ebook, $297 value. A bonus, you get an audio masterclass that's included, $997 value. You get another second bonus, number 2, which is Exam Day Rituals ebook. That's a $97 value. Bonus number 3 I'm throwing in there is how to dissect USMLE questions, 2-hour webinar, $597 value. And finally, a 4th bonus just to sweeten the deal for you guys, USMLE Exam Day 2-hour webinar video. Now, this is the total value package of $16,797 value for just this 4-week live hybrid masterclass course. All right. Now, for the self-paced course, you get the exact same thing. Okay. But guess what? You don't have to pay $16,797 value. All you need to get started is $597 for a 3 months package. All right. For the self-paced course, it's $797 only for 6 months package and $997 for a lifetime access to our courses. And you can buy that right now on smashusmle.com. I'm also going to put the link for you guys here in the webinar so you can click directly and go to the link to sign up today. Listen, for the 4-week live hybrid USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK Masterclass, the ultimate bundle plan with the self-paced course, that is just $997 value. But let's say, wait, listen, Adesina, do you have a payment plan? Absolutely. Listen, you can get started with a payment plan for 2 easy payments of $299. That's for 3 months plan, $399 for a 6 months plan, $499, just 2 easy payments, all right, for a lifetime package. You can get that right now at smashusmle.com. Just go on our website. I'm also going to put a special link for you guys here inside the webinar. Listen, let me ask you a question. Do you want to be like Monica? She passed Step 1. She came through our course. She was motivated. She was watching a webinar like this, and she said, my goodness, I need help. I'm struggling. Let's listen to Monica's story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adesina, and I'm a recent student of Dr. Adesina's Smash USMLE course for Step 1. I recently took his course, and I have to honestly say, it was the best decision I could have ever made in my entire life. I mean, there are so many programs out there And after a while, when you start to compare and contrast, they're pretty much the same. But I one day was on YouTube and I had hit rock bottom. I was getting tired of studying. I didn't feel like I was really getting things to the point where I'd be ready to take my exam. But I was on YouTube one day and I saw Dr. Adesina's ad on on YouTube, and he reached out to me. It really caught my attention and I felt like he knew exactly where I was coming from. So I took the chance and I took one of his master classes. And I have to be honest, after that master class, I said to myself, where have these classes been? Where have they been all my entire life? After the class, I felt clarity. I understood concepts that I had been struggling with for a really long time. It was as if he took all my loose ends and started pulling them together. And I just became more involved and I started to want to watch more master classes. And from there on, I knew that I had found exactly what I needed. From then on, I took more classes. I took all of his classes and I took my exam and I passed. This was the first time where an instructor actually showed passion for teaching, someone who actually reached out, gave you personal coaching one-on-one, and also sent motivational videos to encourage you, especially at the moments when you almost want to give up. I have to say that Dr. Adesina is someone who really enjoys teaching. He really enjoys making the impact that he has on students such as myself. And I just want to let you know that if you're contemplating taking his courses, I'm telling you, you need to go and sign up today. I'm just really happy that there's a program out there that actually works if you're willing to put in the work. So go ahead and sign up. I wish everyone the best of luck.
And there you go. That's Monica. She came through the course. She was struggling, went through the 4-week masterclass course, crushed the exam. Like literally, I called her. I congratulated her. She was so happy. It was the best decision she ever made in her entire life. I'm so happy for her. Listen, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that you can do this? Do you believe that if you work hard enough, no matter what your circumstances are, you've failed the USMLE 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and you're about to give up hope. You're about to give up, like, I don't think I can get into residency. I don't even think I can get through this monster of an exam. Let me share with you the story of Damien.
Hey guys, so my name is Damien Rowland. I'm a rising third-year medical student here in the South, and I just wanted to let you guys know that there's Kaplan out there, there's Princeton Review, there's so many other things you can probably use for step 1, step 2, but I use Smash USMLE for Dr. Adesina, and all I can say is I didn't pass my first time. I'm a living witness that success can happen. I use his website. The videos are great. He was also great. And the thing about it is, you get a personal coach that's gonna walk you through everything. Just how to take the test taking strategies, just that extra motivation that I felt like other companies just wanted you to have they want your money, you're a number, and that's it. And with Smash USMLE, you have videos, you have the personal connection with Dr. Adesina, and overall, you get that confidence that you can do it. And I feel like at the end of the day, passing on the second time it was great. And I just felt like I attributed that to his system. And if you do it, trust me, you will be successful. And the number one thing you get a personal coach that's going to be by your side throughout the whole entire process and beyond. He responds to you, he texts you, he calls you. That's personal. And this is all a personal thing. We all want to be physicians. So take it from me, buy the program. It's well money spent. It's an investment in your future. Trust me, and you won't regret it.
And that is Damien. I am so proud of Damien. You know, I get calls all the time. You know, I failed step 1, Dr. I failed step 2, CK. I failed step 3. And I said, listen, you just did something wrong, but let us show you the ropes of how you can overcome this. Let us coach you. Let us walk you through the process. Let's give you the knowledge. Let's give you the training. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to be like Dr. Francisco? He passed step 1. He literally called me like last week after I passed the exam. I am so super excited to hear from Dr. Francisco. He's one of our students from our program. Let's hear his story.
Hi, my name is Francisco Bermudez. and I am a third-year medical student out of University of Medicine and Health Sciences in St. Kitts. I'm here to talk about my journey and how I got to passing step one. So it was a very tedious process. I was supposed to take my exam actually in March, but due to the pandemic, a bunch of testing centers, as many of you are aware of, were closed. So that delayed my process, and it was kind of frustrating because I was essentially studying without actually having a test date. And when the testing centers did finally open in June in my hometown in Puerto Rico, I was taking NBMEs at the time, and I was frustrated that having been studying for 6 months already, that I was barely passing the NBMEs. I was getting 197. I was just barely getting by, and I didn't see that process. I mean, I didn't see that progress or that growth that I had wanted, because when you study, I feel that it's important to have a goal in mind, like know the score that you would like to obtain, in order to get into certain residencies. Um, and I wasn't there. I wasn't satisfied. I was hungry. I was frustrated. And I started searching the internet to see, ways to improve, or to get a tutor, or any program, just some guidance to put me in the right track. And I came across Smash USMLE, and I watched the videos that are offered in Smash USMLE. They're absolutely excellent. And I feel that the best thing that I did with the program was to religiously, once every 2 weeks, to meet with one of their tutors, Dr. Jeet. Um, Dr. G was excellent because for a long time I was studying ineffectively. I was just reading the first aid. I would take 2 or 3 hours a day to read sections of the first aid. I was just doing questions, but I wasn't really learning effectively. So I learned that the most effective way to actually study is to, yes, do your blocks, do 1 or 2 blocks a day, but each question really dissect it. So that is, for even if you got the question right, why are the other questions wrong? How could the other answer choices have been converted, from wrong to incorrect? What was missing in the case stem, making the incorrect answers incorrect? And off of that, you make notes. So you make these Q&As, um, and you review it. Review. And I feel that that was the most effective tool. Also, some side tips on, like, how to attack a question. Read the last sentence, then you build the story. From the first sentence that you see, you build the story along. And it was just like, you might think, oh, these are not these tactics are not a big deal, but they are very helpful, because the USMLE, they've gone away from buzzwords. You can't go into the exam expecting to recognize a question or answer choices, because it's not a thing anymore. You have to know it cold. And if you dissect these practice questions, you get good at breaking things down and building up your story. So um, yeah, my again, if you missed it from the beginning of the video, my name is Francisco Bermudez. If you have
So that's Dr. Francisco right there. I'm so proud of him. Came through the program. It's another success story. Listen, what are you waiting for? All you need to do to get started right now is to join our program. Okay, get started. A 3-month plan is only $597. 6 months is $797. The lifetime package is $997. You can get it directly at smashusmle.com, or you can go to smashusmlereviews.com to get our live masterclass. I'm also going to put the link for people who are online on YouTube. It's going to be in the description. So you just click on that link. You can get direct access to that. I'm also going to be sharing a link to one of our webinars on how to score 250 on the USMLE. But listen, you can do the 4-week live hybrid masterclass with the lifetime package, ultimate bundle plan with the self-paced course, or you can get just the self-paced course for the USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK course with our masterclass lectures included. Listen, we have covered so much information today. We have learned so much. I mean, we had one of the top IMGs, Dr. Stanley Ogu, on the show today, who came to share with us his wealth of knowledge of how he overcame the odds of matching to general surgery, and now is a board certified reconstructive and plastic surgeon here in Houston, Texas. Listen, we've had an awesome day today. If you guys have any questions for some of you guys here, I'm going to put the link here, for you guys who want to attend, join the next class. I think our next class should be starting in October. So I'm going to put the link here for you guys, for who wants to, because we only have limited amount of spots for these master classes. So I'm going to put the link here for you guys so that you can join the master class if you want. Also, I'll put the link. Let me just grab the other link here for you guys. If you want to join just smashusmle.com. Okay. Now, if anybody has any questions before we wrap things up, I'm just going to kind of look through here for some people. I think I've seen a few questions here people might have posted, while we were having our session here. Let me put the link. People are still on YouTube, so I'm just kind of giving them the link. So someone is asking for questions. So somebody says, I've been watching you for 9 years. I've attended exam, did not succeed. Do I qualify? Absolutely. African beautiful girl. Listen, here's the link right there that I just put to sign up for the program. Listen, we've got people who have been out of school for 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, 3 years. It doesn't matter how long you've been out of school. We just had a webinar like 2 weeks ago on people who actually, Dr. Brigham, who was out of medical school for 13 years, failed the USMLE 3 times, actually 4 times, and eventually matched after 13 years. I don't want any excuses from any IMG ever again. She had the most amazing story I've ever heard, period. All right. So none of you have any excuses to say you can't match. This year alone, right, 61% of IMGs match into residency, 61%. I mean, that's 6 out of 10 IMGs that applied. So it doesn't matter where you get a 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, or 260. The question is, what do you want? How bad do you want it? What program are you trying to get into? Of course, if you're shooting for like super, like top competitive programs, make sure you get high scores. But I always tell you, we've seen people got lower scores and get into residency. So this notion that, oh my goodness, I don't think I have a chance, means absolutely nothing. All right. You're just going to be willing. Like, how many times are you willing to apply before you say you don't want to apply anymore? Okay. Dr. Binga said she applied 3 times before she finally hit it on the 3rd time and she got into a residency. So, there's no more excuses. Like, it's 2020, it's a brand new year and the year is almost over anyway. But listen, you can do this. Believe in yourself, believe in God, work hard. Listen, half of your battle is in the mind. Okay. When you're studying for this board exam and you feel tired and exhausted, that is normal. You're supposed to be tired. Nobody reads 800 pages, do 2,000 or 3,000 USMLE questions, and you're not tired. Of course you're supposed to be tired. Listen, one thing you have to understand is, if I make you go outside right now and cut the grass for an hour, right? All you're doing is just using your muscles. What do your muscles do? They're going to take, glucose, burn through glycolysis, use about 4 ATPs, and then use 2 ATPs, whatever, right? Make lactic acid, and you're going to get tired. That's it. But however, when you're studying, your brain uses glucose and burns it as fast as it can. That is why you're always tired. Because when you're thinking, the brain, and you're reading, you're understanding, right? You've got, you have to comprehend. You have the Broca's area where you use for speech. You have the Wernicke's area of the brain for comprehension. You have to understand that the pathway to understanding something, especially if it's new or if it's an old information that you have not learned in the past, takes time. The neurons that's going to be laid down in your brain to assimilate and put that information and lock them up inside those little vesicles inside your neurons, listen, it's going to take some time. So it's okay. Don't tell me, oh my gosh, I've been studying for a year or 6 months. Like, if you're doing it the wrong way, that's why it's taking you too long, right? But if you're doing it the right way and you follow the process and the strategy we teach you here at smashusmle.com, absolutely, there's no reason for you guys to fail at all. I don't want to hear any excuses. You are in the right program. You surround yourself with people in the Smart MD WhatsApp group who are like-minded like you. You stay away from negative people, right? You don't want to be around people who are SNIOP. The SNIOP means people who are susceptible to the negative influence of other people. This exam is so grueling. This process is so hard. The average human being cannot even survive it. But you are more than average. You're above average. You're smart and intelligent. You're a doctor. You're an IMG. You're med student. Listen, you can do this. All right. All you need to do is get started with the program. We're going to work with you. And listen, the sky is the limit for you. Nothing is impossible. Without further ado, this has brought us to the end of our webinar today. You guys know how to reach us, 212-465-3339, 212-465-3339. That's our company number. You can call us if you have any questions. Reach out to our customer service team. They're more than happy to answer any of your questions. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. Some of you at Smash USMLE. All right, that's our Instagram handle. If you guys haven't started following us yet, also at Smash USMLE _reviews. All right. That's our other company page on Instagram. So feel free to shoot me any questions on IG. You can email our customer support team. We'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. All the entire course is online, but the 4-week live hybrid masterclass. I'm going to also put a link for some of these people. Someone is asking a question on YouTube right here. All our courses online. You can study from the comfort of your own, but we are here to support you all the way. Okay. I'm going to actually put a link to our webinar because some students have not seen our webinar yet. Okay. I will put that link for you guys here on YouTube. So here will be the link. Watch the webinar. It's roughly about 45 minutes, not that long, but it tells you all the nuggets and exactly how our course is broken down. But this is going to be the most amazing thing you ever did for yourself. If you want to be part of the successful people who have joined our program, be part of the 97%, listen, click the link and join our program. If you don't want to be successful and you just want to be part of the other 3% who are struggling, then listen, that's up to you. But listen, what we do here, we're serious about business. We're serious about getting you results. You just got to give me 120%. Everybody in my program knows I have high expectations from each and every one of you. You don't come into the program and slack off. You don't come into the program and just give up. You are not going to do that. You're going to come in here and work. But listen, we give you the roadmap, right? If you're traveling and somebody give you the roadmap, it's easier for you to get to your destination rather than just going up and down, like going on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and kind of confused all over the place. We give you a structure. We give you complete roadmap to get you from point A to point B. And if you haven't gotten a copy of my book yet, listen, go on Amazon right now, get the book, USMLE and Complex Success Secrets. It is amazing. I'm so happy about this book. I want everyone to get a copy of this book, all right, so that you can read it, all right? You can have that in your back pocket anytime and study from it. Any questions you have, our Instagram, our website link is inside the book. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to be bringing another special guest next week. So for those of you in the Smart MD WhatsApp group, look out for the link. We will put the link. We'll give you the date and the time. If you're not part of the Smart MD WhatsApp group, you have to join the course and then you join our program, and then we'll hook you into the Smart MD WhatsApp group so you guys can automatically also be getting instant access. All right, guys, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon today. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Till I see you next time to another webinar where I'm going to bring in a special guest to come and share nuggets of how to crush the USMLE and get into residency as an IMG. You guys take care and God bless. And remember, you're smart, you're intelligent, and we're here not to train you just to become a test taker, but to be a good doctor. Have a good day. God bless you.